What's going on, Geminites? GemMint here. I just paid the remaining balance in the shipping for Void, the Berserk statue from Prime 1 Studio, so it got me thinking, what if we ranked all the current statues from that line from worst to best? Before we jump into this, man, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're doing a giveaway once we hit 110,000 subscribers, where we'll give away this Batman Killing Joke CGC 9.8. Stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'll tell you what you got to do to enter. Now, disclaimer. I love all these statues. I think they're all amazing. Just because one is on the bottom of the list or lower doesn't mean I don't like it, but there's just so many great ones here that someone's got to be the best. So let's start off with the least favorite out of these, and that's Sidro or Isidoro. Isidro's a cool statue, man. He is just a smaller piece. He's a smaller character, and he's not as brutal as someone like Guts or Zod or Femto or Griffith. So his base doesn't have corpses and severed horses' heads and enemies laying about. He's got his loot and like food and liquor bottles and things that he steals. He has more of an anime look, right? His arms are skinny and they don't have as many realistic skin textures as some of those bigger scale statues, but he still fits in with the rest of the line, and you got to have the little sidekick Sidro. All right, next up, it's kind of another smaller piece, but this time it's not as lighthearted as Sidro. It's one of the God Hand, Conrad. Conrad is a demon apostle deity who has this roach-like form with his little wormy appendages sticking out of the side. He's definitely grotesque, but there's not a lot to him. It's kind of a shorter piece. It does have a lot of width, and it has a cool Sea of Sorrows type of base similar to Femto, but it just doesn't have as much action going on. There's really not a storytelling base like some of the other ones that are higher on the list, so that's probably what kept it as high up. I definitely love the skin textures, and it's a super creepy statue. Alright guys, this is where we're going to get controversial. Everyone probably expects this to be super high on my list, but I'm going to go with Nosferatu Zod in apostle form. Kind of lower on the list, and don't get it wrong, he's a humongous piece. The base is a literal battleground. It's a battle scene from the anime and the manga. But why is it not higher on the list? Maybe because he's so big that he doesn't really pair well with the rest of the guys. It doesn't fit in the same display case. Zod himself doesn't have a lot of detail. He's just a big furry type of bear slash minotaur character, so there isn't a lot going on in Zod himself. Sure, he's got the cool horns and he's got that dope like beastly face, but I think the size of this piece makes it really impressive, but I don't know if I love it as much as all the other ones that we're about to talk about on the list. He's definitely the most expensive one and the largest by far. Next up, we're going Griffith. A lot of people were surprised I didn't put Griffith in my top 10 statues of 2020. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great statue. The detail is there. The cape looks great. The armor, even though he's standing still with both feet on the ground, it looks like it has a lot of movement within the statue with the feathers flying everywhere, the sword stuck in the base. I love the bellet kind of nod to the story, and he does have that elegant look like you would expect from Griffith. I don't know, maybe if he was more dynamic, it would have been higher up on my list. It could be the character design himself. It's not as brutal and bloody as the rest of the characters that we're going to get into here, but it's still a great, well-detailed statue. All right, next up, we're going to go with Guts, the 1/3 scale piece, man. This is going to get tough now. All these other ones are like all contenders for the top spot. That Guts 1/3 scale piece is great, man. The detail is amazing. The paint applications, the texture. He is a museum pose, but it's a 1/3 scale piece that is extremely tall. I love the base with that kind of nod to the Berserker armor, the translucent blood that he's standing on top of that has an LED light up function. Enormous sword, it's huge. And that mixed media cape, it looks really good. I like the texture that they used, the material that they used for that cape, and it's definitely midway on my list. It's a great piece. All right, next one up on the list, we're pretty much here at number 4, even though it's not a countdown list, but we're going to go with Femto, man, the Falcon of Darkness. This piece is one that caught my eye before I even knew what Berserk was. First of all, I only know about Berserk because of Prime 1 Studios, and then Dark Horse started publishing their deluxe editions, and being a collected edition collector, that caught my eye, and I just figured it was time to get into Berserk. Anyway, I used to see this statue and think, man, like anime statues are so insane. The base is incredible. This egg, him coming out of this bellet that transformed him from this dying, frail Griffith into this deity Femto, one of the God Hand, just like Conrad. He has his super slick, kind of slimy looking armor, still has the elegance to him, but he's got like the Falcon type of hands and feet with the cape, Sea of Sorrows base, and the tears coming out of the base, his eyes, the tears coming out of the bellet. It conveys so much emotion, and I love the little exclusives that come with it. I really like collecting those on their own as well. All right, guys, we're down to the top 3. Easily, any of these could be number 1. This is really like a tie for number 1, but I'm going to still put them in order. And I'm going to start with the third one, Guts in Berserker armor. Incredible piece. I love how he's perched on the top of this mountain that has the corpses of his demon enemies surrounding him. The Berserker armor is amazing. I love that you have 2 options where you can either put the sword straight down or have the sword sticking up on his shoulder, which makes him extremely tall. I have the exclusive, which comes with both portraits, although they're so similar, it almost seems like there wasn't a need for 2 portraits on this one. But I love the portrait. You have that symbiote takeover type of vibe that the Berserker armor gives, letting the darkness within Guts take him over. Incredible, well-detailed, enormous piece. Basically a little diorama in itself. All right, number 2, we're going to just jump right into it. It's going to be Zod in human form. This amazing 1/4 scale statue that is really the size of any typical 1/3 scale statue. It looks awesome. I love Zod in human form. He's a badass character. He's an immortal warrior. He lives to fight in wars. He has mixed media, which is very subtle. You don't even think that this piece has mixed media, but he does on the fur that goes around his neck and on his legs. He's got switch outs where he has his blade or he's holding a helmet of one of his enemies. I love the portrait on this guy. I love the size. And of course, he has a similar base to Berserker armor Guts, where he's got his enemies laying around him, soldiers, horses, whatever gets in his way. So if you haven't guessed it by now, guys, my favorite out of the line so far is still the first one I ever got. I just feel like it represents the franchise so well. Just Guts, the Black Swordsman. Guts after the eclipse, where he's missing an eye, but before he gets the Berserker armor. He has a storytelling base that has so many of his enemies around it, plus the big beast of darkness that lives dormant within him until he finally lets it out. You got that big sculpted cape, huge Dragon Slayer sword, which, like the Berserker armor Guts, you can have it sticking in the base or raised above his head. Incredible detail with, like I said, paint, sculpt, textures, everything that all these other pieces have that make them great. This one has too, but it's just so iconic. It's the main character. It's the one that is probably the most recognizable from the line, and it still holds that number 1 spot for me. We have a ton of other Berserk statues coming out, man. We got Slann with Ubik coming, the Beast of Casca's Dream. We have Casca from the Golden Age arc. Void is the next one that's coming in. Then we have Skull Knight and Skull Knight on horse. Probably will get both of those, especially because I want the Egg of the Perfect World exclusive that comes with the regular Skull Knight, but I want Skull Knight on horse as well. And then we have Shirky, and I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Let me know how you would have ranked these statues in the comments down below, and that's what's going to enter you into the giveaway for this Batman Killing Joke 9.8. All you got to do is be subscribed to this channel and leave a comment on this video and any other video where I promoted the giveaway, because once we hit 110,000 subscribers, I'll pick a random video, and I'll use a random YouTube comment generator to pick a worldwide winner. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out my other Berserk content in the playlist to the right, as well as my other statue unboxing and reviews. Stay minty fresh. Peace.